Some hack and slash games can achieve mega popularity thanks to glowing reviews, big sales, claims to fame, and pre-established notoriety, stuff like that. But there are plenty of good hack and slash games out there that, in our opinion, just don't get enough attention, or maybe are just worth talking about a little bit more. So today we wanted to bring you 15 underrated hack and slash video games. We tried to get a good mix here of old and new, big and small, so let's get started. Starting off at number 15, we have Ultra Age. This is a fast-paced indie action game you can find on PC, Switch, and PS4 made by Next Stage and Visual Dart. It's set in a post-apocalyptic future where you play as this young warrior named Age, and you're on a quest to save humanity. This game is very reminiscent of stuff you know and love, like Bayonetta and Devil May Cry, with a lot of fast-moving and stylish combat. You get the really quick maneuvers, the dodges, there's a lot of fun stuff here, and the combat is pretty deep. You get multiple weapons, they all have their own attributes, their own play styles. It's one of those games where you're definitely rewarded for getting better at it, and it's pretty challenging overall, so you're not going to be pressing one button 100 times. The story is a bit mid, but really you're here for the fast hack and slash gameplay, and it has great cutscenes to keep it moving along, really good boss fights, but also some really cool environments to go through, like pretty varied zones. This is a game that came out a few years ago and really kind of went under the radar. Critics didn't really know what to make of it, but I think there are some really good ideas here. And if you just want to get a hack and slash character action fix, this is a good one to try. Next at number 14, Cry Machina is a lesser known but no less enjoyable experience within the hack and slash genre. NIS America is the publisher behind this game, and they've been bringing over some Japanese games that are maybe a little different, and they really took a chance on this one. What you get is this cyber anime hack and slash with an incredible soundtrack, but also a lot of enemies to hack and slash. Cry Machina is one of those games that has an introspective narration that's best left to your viewing and listening chops for full understanding. But there's lots of battling to get into, and they're super fun. Asylum is this game's massive dungeon, and you'll be encouraged to navigate it with 3 female avatars outfitted with machine-like parts, which can be augmented with some pretty deadly weapons in combat, such as a massive ball and chain, a shotgun, shields, guns, all that good stuff. On one side of things, it may seem kind of typical, but it's really well done and worth checking out. If you haven't heard of Cry Machina, it's worth it. It's a good one. You'll be impressed by this game environments, its heavy cyber soundtrack, and most of all, the actual combat you'll rely on to cut down the competition you'll be facing. Definitely worth checking out.
Yes.
Moving on to number 13, Assault Spy luckily leaves behind all the unnecessary workplace meetings and seminars in favor of the sort of non-stop action only an office blitzkrieg would deliver. So Assault Spy is a somewhat cel-shaded, incredibly anime-stylized action game where you play as one of 2 different spies to infiltrate each floor of a massive building and beat up all the super strong security robots, and, as always, the evil mastermind behind it all. And it may seem typical, but this game has won a lot of judgment over for other things. The game's whip-fast action manages to pull off some pretty stylish maneuvers as you beat up a bunch of robots. The absurdity of it all really is part of the inspiration and comes from just how much unnecessary over-the-top property destruction is happening. It's essentially an endless rush of action from start to finish. We love how some of the containers you can encounter along the way actually reveal some of your spy's other weapons. And Assault Spy keeps throwing a bunch of weird encounters your way to keep you on your toes. There are bosses themed after regular office workers, which is cool. The actual fun to be had along the way is figuring out the most fun ways to outclass these random underlings and reach each floor's entrance. It's a good time if you're looking for something a little different. Now at number 12, Mahou Arms take the whole magical girl concept and turns it up to 11. thanks to a plotline that revolves around liberating the entire planet from a hostile alien force. That is cool enough, and what this game doesn't bother wasting too much time is a bunch of story fluff and tutorial stuff. It throws you just into the deep end of combat with its main heroine wielding a massive axe while still managing to look very cute as heck along the way. What makes this game such a special action game is how seamlessly it switches gears between the weapons at your disposal and different situation approaches. If you're more comfortable mowing down alien underlings with bullets and acrobatics, you'll get a real kick out of each hero's transformation as they turn into alternate forms to float in the air and rain down hell. And there's more fighting heroines alongside the main character in this game, and they all have extremely cool over-the-top transformations and get their own special moves to tear up their competing alien generals. It's a hack and slasher to the max, and we'd love to see more people checking it out. It is available on Steam. This one's for anime action weirdos only. Now, next over at number 11, Undecember. Don't make fun of the name here. This is a top-down action RPG that wants to throw down the gauntlet that series like Diablo and Path of Exile have run. This action RPG opts for fast and fluid isometric arcade-style combat, and the enemies that it throws at players just keep getting thrown at players in droves. Every environment you explore is teeming with enemies that mob you at the first sight. The loot you pick up along the way is great, leading you to morph into the all-powerful warrior outfitted with some of the most overpowered gear and special abilities you've ever seen. So like Diablo, but maybe a little bit more exaggerated. From what we understand, this game does keep some microtransactions or some weird pay-to-win stuff. There have been some big updates for it. There are a couple of things to be wary of with this game for sure, but if you're on a laptop or a lower-end PC and you just want to play a free little game where you hack and slash through a bunch of things and see really big, colorful numbers pop on the screen, then you might get some fun out of it. Now at number 10, Vikings Wolves of Midgard takes the hack and slash formula and throws it into a land steeped with Norse mythology and beloved Viking invasion tales. Players take up blades as the clan chief of the Ulfung as they look for a new land to call their own after a marauding army of undead enemies sends them on a new adventure. This dark hack and slash journey keeps you engaged thanks to its opposing army of heavily themed baddies and bosses, like trolls and other like Norse giant mythical creatures that looks like they're ripped straight out of any random Norse mythology tome you may come across. You just get really cool, creative creatures, things like that. Combat feels solid, with the ability to showcase the honor of the Viking army in several ways. There's massive hammers, magical staves, dual blades, axes, and all types of weapons to try. And defensive maneuvers make you look really cool and chain together some pretty brutal kills as you come across them. If you've been spoiled by games like Diablo when it comes to top-down action RPGs, you may be going back to this one and wishing for a little bit more. But it has a lot of solid action sequences. It gets a little messy in some parts, but it's definitely worth discussing here. Now down at number 9, Wolcen Lords of Mayhem started off as a buggy mess when it launched on PC, and I'm happy to say that at least has been resolved for the most part. You may even choose to go the console route just to make sure you don't come across any annoyances. But what's undeniable is that Wolcen Lords of Mayhem is a very commendable hack and slash experience. If Diablo 4 didn't really resonate with you and you found it kind of lacking in certain RPG elements, maybe Wolcen picks up the slack. It brims with unstoppable fun once you properly level up your character along each of the developed skill trees, with abilities that are very OP. No overpowered moveset is complete without all the gear you can pick up to complete the full package. This is surprisingly in-depth for a game of this nature. You can also incorporate a free-form element of freedom as it pertains to leveling up your chosen hero. You could turn any one of them into an all-out tank, a dark mage, an archer, or some blend of each class with enough experimentation. It provides a really nice dynamic gameplay loop that just keeps chugging along as you just keep hacking and slashing your way through everything. Coming up next, we have Wanted Dead. This game is a hack and slash hybrid with guns and a rudimentary cover system that is more of a use for hiding enemies than it is in aiding the player because of the widespread scarcity of ammo throughout. The developers clearly brought their expertise in fast-paced, combo-heavy action, and it shows. You're slicing through enemies with swords, dodging bullets, and pulling off these insane finishing moves that just feel so satisfying. I don't know though, the game got a lot of mixed reviews when it dropped. Some people thought it was too janky or the story didn't land. And yeah, it's not perfect. But honestly, the combat system is where it shines. It's brutal, it's flashy, and it's got this weird charm that makes you want to keep playing even when things get a little rough. And like I said, there's also some gunplay here, but it's not the main focus. You'll mostly be relying on your sword skills to get through the chaos. And honestly, that's where the fun is. If you're into games that don't take themselves too seriously and just let you go wild with melee combat, Wanted Dead is worth a shot. It's not going to redefine the genre, but it's a solid hack and slash experience with a lot of personality. Now at number 7, Berserk and the Band of the Hawk. This game is completely like a crossover. This one mashes up the beloved Musou hack and slash formula with the Berserk property and universe, which, make no mistake, is very hardcore and brutal. Why not experience all that massacre on the battlefield by just moseying down anybody that crosses your path? The long blade offered to the anime's lead character Guts is ridiculously enormous, and it's the most fun you'll ever have imagining yourself decapitating an endless army of ill-fated fools, just traversing around and swinging. This feels great. Yes, this is based on the famous and ridiculously beloved manga and anime, but you do kind of have to go in knowing that the game itself has some brighter and more lighthearted, flashy tones. It does get pretty violent, but it is more of a traditional hack and slash game. If you're looking for something that is going to have just endless blood and guts splatting everywhere, that's not really this game, but it does get close. Seriously, a hack and slash Berserk game is kind of like a match made in heaven. If you're looking for just a mindless hack and slash game, even if you have no idea what Berserk is, this one is actually a pretty good one. Now next, over at number 6, it's Attack on Titan: Wings of Freedom. So the same developer who made the last game we mentioned is once again known for crafting fun but simple enemy army hack and slash games. But for this one, they actually adapted and evolved the formula for the better. If you're familiar with the Attack on Titan anime series or manga, then you already know about the special maneuvering gear soldiers employ, which kind of lets them swing around like Spider-Man, which makes the action here, combined with all that swinging and slicing up on the backs of massive titans, super fun and super frantic. It's a good formula, and it makes sense for the game. Your starting hero, Eren Yeager, quickly learns how to get around and slice and dice through the opposition. But that doesn't mean it's always smooth sailing during the course of the entire story. In fact, you get to challenge the unique titans introduced from the show and the manga, who make their presence known within this game's original story. And they mix up the gameplay pretty frequently. So yeah, this game is just kind of relentless when it comes to throwing unique and threatening Titan foes your way, and you gotta be ready to swing around quickly because big monsters are swinging back for the most part, but you're also encouraged to try and take off a bit of their backside limbs to slow them down in order to then get precise strikes at their weak points. Every very intense encounter that you face never really overstays its welcome here, because you're also switching between a bunch of characters, which is cool, but also it's like the best possible way to experience the game's lengthy campaign that's full of that signature anime action from the show, but also some pretty satisfying stuff. Even if you're not an anime fan, cutting down giant monsters is absolutely worth getting into. Coming up next, God Eater 3 is the game on this list that may draw the strongest comparisons to the Monster Hunter game franchise, but it's still worth talking about here because it is a pretty number-oriented, crunchy action RPG with hack and slash gameplay. This is also often considered underrated, especially by fans of the series and the monster-slaying genre, as it offers a fast-paced and fun brawler experience with a strong anime aesthetic and surprisingly compelling characters, despite its perceived lack of challenge for some. While it doesn't quite reach the heights of Monster Hunter in terms of genre dominance, its accessibility, deep customization, and smooth gameplay make it a worthwhile title for those who enjoy the core gameplay loop. Every mission it gives to you put you in an arena that tasks you with tracking down and eradicating a bunch of creatures with really unique weaponry. They all have imaginative names and attack regimens. The reason we recommend it here is because God Eater 3 includes an addictive, snappy, sometimes very fast action feel that makes it a more straightforward, possibly beginner-friendly Monster Hunter game, and it honestly overcomes that to where it's really fun to play long-term. Some of the game's goals do kind of start to blend together, admittedly, and by the time everything comes to a close with the final boss, you may have seen and done pretty much everything the game throws at you. But what's on offer here is a really unique, kind of approachable action RPG, and it's even more fun with co-op multiplayer. It's definitely worth checking out. Even if you're not in love with the visual design or the anime aesthetic and everything, it's worth checking out. Coming in next, we have Darksiders Genesis. With this game, you're in for something completely flipped. I mean, the Darksiders series was always an action-adventure thing, right? Third-person perspective, larger-than-life battles, all that classic stuff. Then Genesis comes along and, surprise, it's now isometric. It's a little shocking at first, especially if you already know the series, but then it clicks. They took everything that makes Darksiders special. The dark mythological themes, the hack and slash combat, and just shifted the way you see it. I didn't realize how much I'd enjoy it until I was a few hours in. And here's the highlight. You're not stuck with just one horseman this time. You've got two, War and Strife. They play wildly differently. One feels heavier, all about brute force, and the other's quicker, with ranged attacks. Swapping between them mid-combat is a bold move, and honestly, it's super satisfying. The combat is smooth, chaotic, and packed with variety, but there's a bit more thinking involved with this one. There are puzzles, a ton of them actually, and exploring the isometric world feels natural and more layered than you'd expect. It's one of those games that's not exactly what fans expected, but it still nails the Darksiders vibe. Coming in next, it's Gory, Cuddly Carnage. Alright, let me first sell you the premise. You play as Gory, a sassy skateboarding feline armed with a hoverboard weapon who's out to clean up a post-apocalyptic world filled with mutant unicorns, flesh-obsessed toys, and, well, general insanity. It's basically Happy Tree Friends meets Jet Set Radio. Totally bonkers, unapologetically gory, and stupidly stylish. On paper, that sounds utterly ridiculous, and it is, but that's sort of the point. The humor is dark, the visuals are vibrant and neon-soaked, and the fast-paced combat is surprisingly refined. Think of it as a high-octane mix of hack-and-slash mechanics with constant movement akin to something like Devil May Cry. Except, you're a cat on a weaponized hoverboard, so yeah, it's definitely not boring. But why is it underrated? Well, let's be honest, games this wildly offbeat tend to divide audiences. Not everyone connects with overt absurdity, and it risks coming across as gimmicky to those who don't appreciate the humor or art style. And honestly, that's kind of unfair. Beneath the chaotic exterior lies a wonderfully tight action experience for fans of over-the-top fun. If you find joy in combining ridiculous carnage with style, Gory Cuddly Carnage is an underrated gem just waiting to claw its way into your heart. Now next at number 2 we have Tokiden 2. This is another one of those Monster Hunter style spin-off type of things, but offers just real fast and furious combat. If you've ever been told these games like Tokiden 2 was just a Monster Hunter clone, just put that down. It's actually got some really unique stuff. The story feels grounded, surprisingly enough, and the action here is snappier. While it does kind of lack the visual flair of maybe other games out there, Tokiden 2 is just brutally real, like the very real Japanese mythological landscape that's been corrupted at every turn. Enemy Oni look like these massive, hulking, weird, troll-like beasts, and approaching each one of them differently is the most fun you'll ever have during each monster hunt. Plus, the game is aided by an interesting mechanic known as the Demon Hand. It's kind of like a portable grappling hook that activates when you're airborne, and it's, as you can imagine, a game changer to combat. Grabbing enemies' limbs, pulling the weak points, really great for traversal without feeling just like a leg up over the competition. Like it helps add to the game, but not make you too much stronger to kind of break the gameplay. This game is also co-op enabled too. So if you're looking for a game to try with a pal on the couch where you have to focus on teamwork and the task at hand to take down some giant mythical beasts, Toukiden 2 is absolutely getting a thumbs up from us. Now finally at number 1 we have DMC Devil May Cry. Now hey, hear us out here, stay with us, we know this game has a complicated past. It has a notorious reputation because this was the Devil May Cry game not developed by the usual company Capcom, so it wasn't the usual team. This is actually made by Ninja Theory. They're the folks behind some of the Saga games and most recently Hellblade. But you might actually know them for another hack and slash game, the underrated Enslaved Odyssey to the West. With DMC Devil May Cry here, they took over this important franchise and kind of elevated it to some incredible new highs. Really, you have very strong gameplay, surprise after surprise, incredible bosses, and they just know what they're doing with this type of thing.
The game gives the longtime hero, Dante, and his brother Virgil, a stereotypical edgy modern-day reboot redo. Regardless of how you feel about that, presume that's what they were doing here. If you like character action games, you'd be doing yourself a disservice by skipping this one because there are some incredible moments here. The combat is incredible, feels extremely fluid, very fast. Levels full of platforming that demands quick reflexes and quick thinking in order to escape enemy fire or just take down the world crumbling around you. Big, massive set pieces, controllable weapons with very seamless switches that hype up very flashy and brutal combo stringing content. You name it.
This Devil May Cry game is just really fun, man. I know the Devil May Cry franchise is really popular, but for some reason this game didn't get the accolades that the other games in the franchise did. So in case you haven't heard about it or at least given it a chance at this point, it's definitely worth trying, especially if you like hack and slash action games. But those are 15 underrated hack and slash games that we think are worth talking about or they just don't get enough credit. You'll have to let us know some of yours. Let us know your experiences with these games, what you think. If you do agree or disagree, let us know in the comments. We definitely want to talk about this stuff. If you like this video though, clicking the like button helps us out. We appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing. Maybe hitting that notification bell because we put out videos frequently. But either way, thanks for watching and we'll see you guys next time.
Talk about animal magnetism. Looks like you're a